They called it an emergency family meeting. I called it an ambush. The kind where everyone gets to speak but you. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't success. It's watching their certainty about you collapse in real time. Before we dive in, where are you listening from right now? What's your story? Drop it in the comments. My name is Alexandra Bennett. I'm 28, founder of a company no one in my family cared to learn the name of until it showed up on Forbes 2 years ago. I walked away from the career they worshipped, the fiancé they handpicked, and the apartment they bragged about on my behalf. They called it reckless. I called it building something they couldn't see coming. I was parked outside the house I grew up in, a symmetrical brick colonial with those perfect white columns my mom insisted looked presidential. It hadn't changed in 20 years. But tonight, something in me had. The group chat invite came 3 days ago. Family emergency. Thursday, 7 p.m. Alexandra needs our help with her situation. Her situation. That's what they called it, like I was a case study gone wrong. 2 years ago, I'd walked away from a junior partner track at one of the top consulting firms in New York, McKenna & Lowe, corner office, 6-figure bonus, glass of scotch waiting at every win. I turned it all down to build something of my own, a company no one in my family cared enough to ask about. Since then, I'd heard it all. It's just a phase. You'll come back to the real world eventually. We're just concerned about your future. Translation, you embarrassed us, and we'd like you to fix that. My Corolla idled in the circular driveway, tucked between my dad's sleek black Mercedes and Emma's new Range Rover. The house loomed ahead, 3 stories of curated perfection. Inside, I could already picture the layout: Dad in his usual power seat near the fireplace, Emma and her husband James lounging on the leather sofa like royalty, and Mom fluttering between hostess and passive-aggressive moderator. I'd bet anything Aunt Patricia was already there, probably on her second glass of red and ready to insert herself where she didn't belong. I checked my phone. 6:58 p.m. A message from Marcus lit up the screen. Marcus CFO Forbes piece goes live at 8 EST. You ready? I stared at the blinking cursor for a second, then typed back, perfect timing. Family ambush starts at 7. His reply came instantly. Savage. Want me to send a car to extract you? I smiled. No need. Some things are worth watching unfold. I didn't wear anything flashy, just a black thrifted blazer, white shirt, jeans, and my hair pulled into a clean low bun. No heels, no designer tags. Let them think I couldn't afford better. It would make everything land harder. At exactly 7:02, I stepped out and walked toward the front door. It opened before I even knocked. Alexandra, my mom said, perfectly polite and painfully tight. You're late. By 2 minutes, I replied. She gave me a look. Details matter in business? Dear. I stepped inside, the air heavy with expensive candles and layered judgment. Something you might want to start considering, she added as she led me into the living room. She'd arranged it like a conference room. Dad stood next to the fireplace like he was about to give a quarterly report. Emma sat upright in the middle of the couch, legs crossed, husband at her side with his classic smug MBA grin. Aunt Patricia was perched in the wingback chair like she was holding court. Allie Emma fake smiled, air kissing my cheek. Love the blazer. H&M, I replied. Actually, thrift store. Her smile twitched. Well, sustainable fashion is so of the moment. I took the hardest, least comfortable chair in the room. On purpose, let them all look down on me for 5 more minutes. Dad cleared his throat. We're here because we're concerned. Alexandra, about your choices. Mom chimed in. 2 years ago, you had everything. A promising career, a beautiful apartment. William, right. The investment banker they practically pre-approved as my future husband before I called off the engagement and launched my company instead. And now, Dad gestured vaguely, you're doing what living in a one-bedroom walk-up driving that old car. It's a Corolla. I said, reliable. James jumped in, ever the expert. Working on a tech startup. Right. Just FYI. The market's oversaturated. Without major backing, there's no path to scale. I bit the inside of my cheek. James, who'd tried to launch 3 startups, all of which flamed out. James, who didn't know the VC firm that rejected his last pitch, was one of my subsidiaries. Emma leaned forward. There's no shame in pivoting. McKenna would take you back in a second. Aunt Barbara's daughter just made partner there. Aunt Patricia nodded solemnly. Youngest female partner in their history. That could have been you. I checked the time. 7:43 p.m. 17 minutes. Mom crossed her arms. You haven't even told us what your company does. All this secrecy. And for what Dad took a step forward, voice firm. We're here to help you accept reality. Your business is failing. It's time to move on. And right on cue, Emma's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, then froze. Her face drained. Oh my God, she whispered, louder this time. Why is your face on Forbes? The room stilled. James grabbed her phone and started scrolling. That's impossible, he muttered. This has to be a mistake. Alexandra Bennett, I said calmly, founder and CEO of Neurotech Solutions. Current valuation $2 billion. I sat back. Would you like to know what we do? Mom blinked rapidly. Dad sat down. Aunt Patricia's wine glass hovered mid-air. I opened my tablet, tapped to our investor deck. We build AI-driven adaptive learning systems. And yes, we're scaling globally. That tiny apartment. It's the smallest unit in the building I own. That old car, I bought it because it's practical. Like all good investments. Emma was still staring. James looked sick. Patricia started dialing someone. Probably Barbara. And the startup James pitched last month, I added, the one rejected by Bennett Ventures. That's me. Better luck next time. My phone buzzed. Marcus, $3 billion Tokyo deal closed. I stood up, straightened my blazer, the one Emma mocked. I have an interview with CNBC in an hour. They're doing a feature on disruptive tech leaders. But I'll leave you all to whatever this meeting was supposed to be. I looked around. Same house, same people. But everything was different now. They weren't rescuing me. They were realizing they'd never really known me. And that was just the beginning. The silence after I said $2 billion wasn't awkward. It was surgical. Like a scalpel slicing through every smug comment they'd ever made. Emma's hand hovered over her phone like it had just burned her. James looked like he'd just swallowed a lemon soaked in battery acid. Dad actually sat down, and that man doesn't sit unless he's commanding a room. And Mom's wine glass trembled just enough for me to notice, but she recovered fast, lifting it to her lips like nothing had happened. So, I said, tapping my tablet awake, would you like to know what I actually do? No one answered, but I didn't need their permission. I flipped the screen around crisp slides, sleek graphics, clean projections. Neurotech develops AI systems that adapt to user behavior in real time. Think predictive modeling, decision engines, and quantum-enhanced neural mapping. Blank stares. We help governments plan for natural disasters before they hit. Retail giants optimize logistics. Hospitals predict patient needs. This isn't a side hustle. It's a revolution. And I built it while you were all asking if I needed to come home for a bit. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't gloat. That was the best part. No rage. No dramatic declarations. Just facts. It made their silence heavier. Emma blinked. But the apartment. I own the building. James scoffed, like he still had a leg to stand on. Then why the Corolla? Because I believe in smart investments, I said. And because no one ever suspects the woman driving a used Toyota to be a billionaire, you'd be amazed what people say when they think you failed. His lips pressed into a thin line. Mom finally spoke. "Why didn't you say anything you never asked?" I replied. Dad stood again, probably hoping posture would save his pride. "Alexandra, this is unexpected. You should have let us know. We could have helped." I raised an eyebrow, like James helped James stiffened. I tapped again, pulled up the pitch deck he'd sent last quarter. 3 failed startups, 2 flagged for compliance issues, pitched to a firm called East Shore Capital. "That wasn't your "we own East Shore," I said calmly. "It's a Neurotech subsidiary. You pitched to us." We declined. He paled. "Also," I added. "I heard what you told the investor panel at the last tech conference. That female founders can't scale past Series B." Emma's head whipped toward him. "You said that was taken out of context." "No," I said. "It wasn't. We have the recording." James looked like he wanted to sink into the Italian leather sofa. Too bad it didn't recline. I turned to Aunt Patricia, who was still trying to act unfazed. And in case you're wondering, Aunt Barb's daughter made partner at McKenna the same month I closed our Tokyo expansion. She's brilliant, but she's not me. The living room, once arranged like a tribunal, had become a gallery of people realizing they'd underestimated the wrong person. And I hadn't even mentioned the new valuation yet. My phone buzzed again. "Marcus, $3 billion. Tokyo deal closed. CNBC car outside in 5. I smiled. I'd love to stay and unpack all this. I said, standing. But I have an interview in 45 minutes. CNBC's doing a feature on leaders disrupting the global tech market. Mom reached for me as I walked past. "Wait, Allie, please, don't just leave." I stopped, turned around. "This meeting was never about helping me," I said. "It was about fixing the version of me that didn't match your expectations. I didn't fail. I evolved, and you were too busy pitying me to notice." Emma looked stunned. "We didn't know." "Exactly," I said. "Outside." The headlights of the black car lit the driveway. It wasn't just any car, it was part of the Forbes shoot they were setting up for the next morning. Driver, crew, interview team. All ready. As I walked toward it, James called out, voice tight. "So what now? You just walk out and pretend like we don't matter." I turned. "You don't have to pretend when it's already been true for years." He shut up after that. I got in the car without another word. Didn't look back. The door closed with a soft, final click. The engine purred to life. In the rearview mirror, I caught one last glimpse of them still frozen, still trying to process what had just happened. They'd gathered to talk me out of a failure I never had. And they watched, powerless, as the world called me a success they couldn't take credit for. The irony, they had all the seats at the table and still missed the whole damn show. By morning, my phone looked like it had survived a PR disaster or started one. Dozens of missed calls, texts stacked on top of each other like dominoes falling backward in time. Most were from my family. "Mom, Alexandra, please call us. We didn't know. We're sorry. Emma Omge. Ally. Why didn't you tell me I'm your sister? Dad, call me when you have a minute. This isn't how families work." James. "Hey, about that pitch, maybe we can talk." "No, we couldn't." I didn't respond to any of them. Not out of spite, I just didn't owe them anything. Not anymore. Emma posted a photo of us from 5 years ago, one of those glossy holiday portraits where everyone smiles like nothing hurts. She captioned it, "So proud of my brilliant sister, the CEO behind Neurotech's 3B success, visionary, leader, disruptor." She tagged me. I didn't like it. I didn't share it. Let her chase the connection now she'd ignored it for years. At 10:15 a.m., Maya buzzed my office. There's a visitor in reception. Says his name is William. I froze. That name hadn't passed through my head in a long time. William Harrison, my ex-fiancé, investment banker, my parents' dream-in-law, the man who told me, over steak and Pinot Noir, that I should stick to consulting. Tech's a man's game. I opened the door to find him standing there in a navy blazer and that same forced smile he used to wear at cocktail hours. "Alexandra," he said, like nothing had happened. "You look successful." I looked exactly the same. He just couldn't see it before. "How did you get on my calendar?" I asked. "Flat?" He shifted his weight. "Your mother might have mentioned you had offices here." "Of course she did," I thought, given our history. I cut him off. "You should remember I don't appreciate people who underestimate me." He opened his mouth. "I wasn't done," you once said, and I quote, "Tech is a man's world, darling. Stick to consulting, they appreciate diversity hires." Silence. I hit the intercom. "Maya, please escort Mr. Harrison out. Also, update our guest protocol. No walk-ins." He tried to hold on to his composure as security showed up. I turned my back before the elevator doors even closed behind him. That afternoon, Maya knocked again. "Your sister's in the lobby," she said. "Refuses to leave unless you talk to her." I didn't hesitate. "Put her in conference room 3, the one with the awful chairs." 20 minutes later, I walked in. Emma sat perched on the edge of the stiffest chair in the building, clutching her Prada bag like a parachute. Even her hair looked less polished than usual, humidity or humility. Hard to tell. "Really?" "Ally," she said as I entered. "You couldn't tell security who I am. They know exactly who you are," I replied, sitting across from her. "That's why they followed protocol." She deflated a little. "Mom's crying. Dad didn't even go to work. They feel betrayed." "Betrayed," I echoed. "By what? That I succeeded? That I didn't need them?" "No," she said, quick, desperate. "It's not like that. We thought you were lost. We didn't know." "Exactly. You didn't know because you never asked." She tried to regroup. "Can't we just start over?" "You mean now that it's socially acceptable to brag about me?" Her jaw tightened. "That's not fair." "You want fair?" I leaned in. "Let's talk about James." Her face flickered. 3 failed startups, 2 flagged by the SEC. And you know what else? He's been bad-mouthing me to investors for over a year, calling me amateur hour, saying I was burning venture capital like kindling. Her mouth dropped. "He wouldn't. We have recordings and emails." He didn't know who was listening. She looked like I'd slapped her. Her designer bag slipped from her lap onto the floor. "You've been watching him?" "I watch everyone who tries to do business in my space," I said, "including the people who think they're too clever to get caught." Emma's voice shook. "So what now? You just cut us all off. I didn't blink." "No, I just stopped pretending we were ever on the same team." She stood up too fast. Her composure cracked again. "Fine. Then say it. What do you want?" An apology. Public groveling. What I stood to. Looked her square in the face. "I want nothing from you. Emma, that's the part you still don't get. I built all of this without you, without Mom, without Dad, without James, and that's exactly how I'll continue." Her eyes watered. "But we're family." "Family would have believed in me," I said. "They would have asked about my dreams, not mocked them, not minimized me to make themselves feel better." Her voice was barely a whisper. "We didn't mean to. You didn't care enough to stop." We stood there in silence. The conference room, once used for investor pitches and strategy sessions, now holding the remains of a relationship neither of us knew how to salvage. I finally stepped around her. "Goodbye, Emma." I walked out behind me. I could hear her footsteps, hesitant at first, then retreating. I didn't look back. For the first time in years, I was done trying to explain who I was to people who never really wanted to know. 1 month later, everything was louder. The news cycles, the speaking invites, the LinkedIn requests from people I hadn't heard from since sophomore year. Neurotech's stock had doubled. Our AI was being integrated into international disaster response systems. I was booked to speak at MIT Tokyo, London. My world had shifted at a velocity my family never saw coming, but they caught on. Eventually, it started with the flowers, then the voicemails, then the dinner invites phrased just vague enough to sound casual but stiff enough to feel strategic. I ignored all of them, until Maya knocked on my office door late one Thursday afternoon. "It's your father," she said. "He's downstairs. No appointment, no assistant, no driver." I looked up from my screen. Same answer as last week. "He's different today," she added, hesitating. "No Mercedes, no suit. He's wearing jeans." That made me pause. My father, Richard Bennett, in jeans. The man who once changed his tie to match a boardroom carpet. I tapped into the security feed, and there he was, sitting in the corner of the lobby, just watching. Not checking his phone, not pacing, just still. In his lap was a worn leather briefcase I'd never seen before. "Send him up," I said. He stepped into my office like he was entering a cathedral. His eyes scanned the whiteboards, the silent screens pulsing with data, the framed headlines, "Young CEO Revolutionizes Predictive Tech. Neurotech's secret billionaire revealed." He didn't speak until he sat across from me. "Your mother still sets a place for you at dinner," he said. "Every Thursday." I didn't reply. He placed the briefcase on his lap, opened it slowly, and pulled out a stack of folders, old worn, edges curling, inside patent filings, idea sketches, diagrams. "You filed your first patent at 19, he said. "Created your first machine learning model at 22. You built 3 startups under ghost names before Neurotech." He looked up, his voice quieter now. "We didn't know, because we didn't ask. I didn't ask, I watched him. Measured, guarded." "I remember your 5th grade science fair," he continued. "You built a neural network out of wires and a broken calculator. Everyone else had volcanoes. You had an algorithm. You weren't there," I said. "I had a board meeting," he admitted. I told myself it mattered more. He took a breath. "I've spent the last month reading everything you've ever published, even the draft proposals. I don't understand all of it, but I want to." And there it was. Not an ask, not a pitch, just a sentence I'd been waiting most of my life to hear. "I want to understand you." We stood together at the whiteboard. I started slow, explaining the basic neural architecture, how we integrated predictive modeling, how we layered in quantum decision nodes. He nodded, asked good questions, real questions, and for the first time in decades, it didn't feel like I was defending myself to him. It felt like I was finally being seen. When we sat back down, he said quietly, "Bennett Global's tanking. Our consulting model's outdated. No one wants suits and summaries. They want algorithms, forecasting, real tools." "I know." I said, "Your stock dropped 42% last quarter." He laughed. "The real kind." "Of course you know. I didn't bring that up to ask for anything," he added. "I just wanted to say, I'm proud of you. Not because you're successful, but because you built something visionary. While we were too busy looking in the wrong direction, the next week, I offered something unexpected. A family dinner. I told him, here, in my building." His eyebrows lifted. "Tour first." I added, "Then dinner. No surprises, no assumptions, no speeches." He hesitated. "Emma, she can come, James." "No." He nodded. "Understood." I met his eyes. This isn't an olive branch, it's a boundary. No one takes credit. No one spins a narrative. You come as guests, not architects. He smiled faintly. We'll bring dessert. Thursday night came, and for the first time, they walked into my world. Maya greeted them at the entrance. Security badges, sign in, standard protocols. They took the tour, the labs, the command center, the A/B testing suites. I watched them realize this wasn't just a project or a lucky break. This was an empire. After dinner, Mom lingered in my office. She touched the framed articles like they were artifacts. I've started taking coding classes, she said quietly. Just beginner stuff. I thought, maybe one day I could understand what you're building. It wasn't an apology, but it was a start. Emma stayed quiet. She didn't post anything this time. She didn't even try to tag me. That alone spoke volumes. Late that night, after they left, I stayed behind. I walked the quiet halls of Neuratech like I always did when I needed clarity. I passed the wall of framed press. The newest headline read, Tech CEO redefines family business. Success is the best teacher. Next to it, I'd hung something more personal, a photo of me at 10 years old, standing proudly beside my science fair board, wire circuits taped to foam, spelling out neural weather prediction, 76% accuracy. I remember that day. I remember not knowing how to explain the math, but knowing deep down that I'd made something real. That little girl didn't just predict weather patterns. She predicted her own worth long before anyone else could see it. And now she runs the storm. Let them say what they want. Let them rewrite history in whispers and LinkedIn posts. I'm not here to correct the record. I'm here to keep building. Because success doesn't need a spotlight. It just needs vision, discipline, and a door no one else can close. And this time, that door has my name on it, etched in steel, right where it belongs.